as a mountaineer, what would the world be like?
But you knew immediately you were in a different place.
The first thing you feel is the altitude. It's like 13,000 feet, so you're kind of sucking wind.
It's just an awakening, you know, it's just an awareness that you're in a completely different place, different culture, and you're about to immerse yourself in it.
Like in Bozeman, we're at 5,000 feet and often going higher, but still at that, at 13,500 feet, I mean, it really affects you.
Oh, you mean even this one?
You can't really just go right into the mountains and start climbing. So you have to have preparation and schedule to do that. And so the best way I found to do that is just to learn more about the culture. And so we spend some days in La Paz, and then we go to Copacabana and learn about the history there. And just all the while, working on being healthy. And then at the same time, we're building our relationships with each other as far as partnerships and how we're going to live together for the next 3 weeks.
Although you might be.
No, don't even feed into his whippiness.
It's very exciting to see the culture, see how things are laid out differently, whether it's architecture or what have you. One of the major reasons why I chose to continue is because it's part of a larger program that's a nonprofit. Educating people about climbing is one thing, but educating people about climbing safely and being part of this outdoor environment is something totally different.
If you can have a student go from student to on their own full mountaineer, full alpinist, then that's really satisfying.
There is so many more things to climbing than just climbing a mountain.
Because in order to be able to do this yourself, you got to know how to plan a trip. It's quite a process. Trying to get food together for that many days in the mountains is huge, and packing it.
Grocery shopping was great because it took an entire day, and you'd never think that between figuring out what we were going to purchase, purchasing it, and then packing it.
Trying to figure out, well, is this good chocolate or not?
These are pretty good.
There we are, going around with our shopping carts, and people are looking at us like, what are you guys doing? I mean, they get 6 shopping carts, just full to the brim, and, got all sorts of stuff.
You tackle one piece at a time. If you're putting a puzzle together, you really have to know all the pieces, and then you just work one at a time, working into the puzzle. Not to say that the puzzle will ever be done, but you strive for that.
Down to Bolivia, and it's the real deal. I mean, these are huge, huge mountains on a scale that I had never seen before, and that was really, really incredible. Aaron said to us the first day, everything here really is trying to kill you, and you need to use every bit of your wits, brain power, and training to prevent it from doing so.
Hump coming over. Gosh, it's totally exposed, right?
You really realize that this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is it.
The mountains were big, the climbs were accessible, but at the same time challenging. So the most important thing was we were able to practice and learn more without hesitation and, in a sense, fear. And that's what you want, because you want to learn and gain from the experience as opposed to just accomplishing climbing another mountain.
The very first summit we did, Aaron had told us that we were going to be doing some easy 5-3 descent route off some other mountain. And we kind of got up to the col, and that mountain's to the left, and we're heading right. And I'm like, well, why are we heading to the right? He's like, oh, you'll see, we're doing something else.
Whoa.
Suddenly we get up over this minor summit and look at Pequeño Alpamayo, which is one of the most photographed peaks in Bolivia. It's like this perfect pyramid-shaped snow ridge. And I just kept saying over and over, no way. Because it is so steep and just so aesthetic, and I just couldn't believe that we'd be climbing that. We were doing rock climbing, we were doing snow climbing, and it's all kind of like separate. And then suddenly you get down to Bolivia and you realize why you were doing all of that. We climbed, vertical ice in highlight, and down in Bolivia, we're basically not on vertical ice, maybe one short pitch, but we were on very steep snow, unroped. If I had not had the training that we were given doing more technical stuff here, I would never have felt comfortable at that altitude, unroped.
The rope management, the footwork, the ice axes, and everything we went through, kind of just went through without them even having to think about it.
Here we go. Good job, buddy.
Thank you, Aaron.
You did it.
Thank you.
Where are you at?
Thank you.
Very emotional moment on the summit for me, because like kind of 6 months of training and struggle and physical, emotional struggle, and there we were, like on top of the world, and I just it's pretty hard to keep it together right at that moment.
Why do I want to share the mountains with other people? And it's not to just say that they can be at the top of a peak. I think it's more of a lifestyle that I'm trying to convey. Definitely the people up in the Andean range are living very simply and frugally, and yet every day you see them with smiles on their face.
Oh! Whoa! ¡Qué fuerte está! Dios mío!
We're using muleros to take us in, and they're great guys. I mean, they don't speak any English. We don't. It's very hard to communicate, and yet there is a communication. One of the children was sent to one of the mules had run off, and they send this kid, and this kid probably runs down 2,000 feet, back up 2,000 feet, and here we are thinking we're fit for Montana, and like this kid is literally just sprinting all over the place while we're just like huffing and puffing, and you kind of realize, well, those are the hard men, like we're nothing.
I think every time I go down to a place like Bolivia, it's an eye-opener for me to what I live in daily.
You just kind of realize that no matter where someone's from or what they do, that sort of the basic humanity is the same. If you just allow yourself to connect with that.
We go there for the great weather, and it's great if you can climb every day. But there's something special about staying in a tent all day for bad weather.
New game?
Yeah.
Or we can play cards.
That's not bad. 35
When you're in that high alpine community, in that base camp or whatever you want to call it, it becomes somewhat of a society, I guess, in a way.
It's because they're all there for the same reason, and they all have the same passion, and so it would be kind of like, the tribe is there, part of your tribe is there, so you feel kind of at home in a foreign country. It's a strange feeling.
All of a sudden we just all start baking out pots and start playing like our snow dance to try to get rid of the snow, and so we're all just have this like impromptu music jam session at base camp for like an hour in the freezing cold, and just dancing and playing and laughing, and it's just it was really fun.
one of the noblest things you can do in life is to use your skills and talents toward productive achievement. So, what is that productive achievement? I think that's what it comes into perspective.
There is this sort of this extra sense that you gain when you're hanging off of a ice face, and you know, some decisions may depend on your safety or not, your life or not, your partner's life or not. It definitely puts everything else in perspective when you come back home on that plane and you get back in the routine.
A year ago, I was in New York City, super depressed, and somewhere along the way, you know, after negative 20-degree days in highlight, freezing, wondering why I was there, somewhere along the way, I wasn't depressed anymore, and I was engaged and I was living.
It's diversified my outlook on life, on talking to other people and experiencing new things with other people. Mountaineering in general can be the catalyst for a greater educational experience. And it doesn't have to be summiting Denali, it can be climbing Sacagawea. You know, aside from the whole cultural aspect of going to a new country, I think mountaineering in itself diversifies you as a person. And that's one of the great things about it. It's kind of like you start a book and you start climbing and you don't finish it until you're done climbing. You know, you don't really know where it's going to go. It kind of takes you on your own path.
Rastafari, Selassie I.